I didn't put in the microphone. I don't know that that helps all that much. Hold on, and you can tell me. Because I will plug it in now, and we'll see if there's a difference. Because if this microphone is not really working or adding, then I will get a different one. Follow the rules, please. It's an early morning. 6:45. Okay, microphone's on. Is this helping? Am I spectacularly loud all of a sudden? Tell me, tell me, tell me. Okay. Good morning from the Yarn Closet in Tucson, Arizona. I am Laura. I know, we thought we wouldn't chat for a really long time, and it was kind of bumming me out. But two things happened. I got a ton of feedback. I got some followers and some activity on Patreon, a number of questions. I want to address those, and I did a thing. I Yarn Closet AZ on Instagram. Sorry. I am Yarn Closet AZ. AZ stands for Arizona in Instagram. That is where you can find me as a person and a yarn closet. And I am the Yarn Closet over on Patreon. Patreon, people freak out and think, oh my God, money. Hey, yeah, totally. You can contribute any amount you want on Patreon. You can be a $1 monthly subscriber. There will be some content just for the people who support the podcast. When you support the podcast, those dollars are going directly into things like indie dyed yarn that I can give as prizes, crank into sock tubes, specialty project bags, large ones, small ones, whatever. The dollars are going directly into that. I have a sponsor through Growly Bear Soap Products in Arizona, all natural products. So you get something from them, a foot cream, a lip balm, a body balm or butter, maybe a soap, whatever. I have a shipping sponsor. Thank you, Grandpa Ed. So it's not going into those things, and it's not paying for my cranking service. Your dollars of support are simply going into buying indie dyed yarns to make the sock tubes, to pay for the little bit of additional stuff I put into packaging, the gifts. I have the braille stitch markers anyway because I do that for myself, so I throw those in. So that's directly dollar for dollar where it's going. I'm not profiting off of this. I never had any intention to profit off of this. But I appreciate that everyone involved would support the community. Why did I start this? To be involved in the knitting community and have my voice, because I am legally blind and housebound. I'm not able to get to those knitting retreats right now and meet people. I'm rarely able to get to my one local yarn shop and talk to yarny people. There have been years, there have been times where I've been able to do kids classes once a week, twice a week, and that gets me out of the house and is some good social interaction. But I came to realize that in the diversity and inclusion and all that mumbo jumbo, I'm a part of that because I am disabled, because I am limited by something about my being, and I am often invisible, even when I'm physically with other knitters, because I can't necessarily see the little looks and the little whatevers across the table. I don't always know if someone's talking to me directly. If I happen to see somebody out the once or twice a year I'm at Joann's, I wouldn't necessarily recognize them outside of where I would normally see them. So I have a voice in this, and I want to shine some light into the closet of housebound. Whether you are housebound because of disability, because of just a period of illness, because of a period of being a caretaker, or out of personal choice, because many of us are not extroverts. Many of us who do the yarny are introverts, and we like our own space and our own time and our own quiet. And if you're here in your home and connecting through this digital stuff out of choice and comfort, great! I have no problem with that. I want you here because there are so many people that I have met through exposing myself in this way who've said, yep, me too, period of illness, not always like this, or I'm here housebound out of choice. I listen to the Fat Squirrel. I could listen to her every day, all day. I mean, I listen and re-listen to stuff because I love her voice. Not only is she beautiful to look at, I mean, honestly, girl crush. Can I just pet your hair? But I love her voice. And for me, sound is a big deal. It's kind of like texture. There was a guy after my divorce that I really kind of liked. Wanted to go out with him, met on the internet, communicated, whatever. Finally got to the phone calling stage. I couldn't do it. His voice was horrendous. I mean, it was like chalk on a chalkboard. I couldn't do it. Couldn't be stuck with that. My current husband, Jared, yes, one of the things was his voice. He has a beautiful man voice. He's a lovely singer. He does like to sing. It adds this richness into my world. So whatever your thing is and whatever floats your boat in connection on this platform, go for it, do it, and communicate. I will continue to leave the comments open, continue to subscribe and comment here because we will have surprise drawings off of YouTube throughout the year. Just throwing that out there. However, most of the prize drawings are going to come through Patreon. There is a Fairy Godmother platform on Patreon or tier for contribution, and if you contribute in that realm, you will definitely get a prize. So if you're just here because you want a prize, then you can contribute on that platform and help offset some of the cost, and you're good to go. I am no longer the sole participant of the Yarn Closet, and nor have I ever been because of my sponsors. So there is some commentary and conversation about, well, is it one contribution at the Fairy Godmother, or should it be two, or should it be three? We have yet to decide that. So you be the first Fairy Godmother and you throw in your 2 cents and you tell us. On Patreon, you can become a part of Patreon and you can follow people there for free. And sometimes you get additional content that's not out there on their YouTube channels. And I am learning how to do that, how to engage on that extra level of platform where it's more than just a blog or a notification of YouTube. And I'm going to expand that. I'm going to try to figure out how to do some better tutorials on my take on sweater creation, because everybody has their thing. I would think that probably 90% to 95% of knitters who go to make garments modify them in some way. No, you do not need to tell me something. Is there blood coming out of your body?
No.
Are there bones coming out of your body?
No.
So do not interrupt me.
Now.
And you cannot go out and swim yet.
Why?
Because Dad's not awake and it's freezing cold, even though it's like 90 degrees. You will go out in a little while, okay? Not right now. We don't know the exact time, but you are getting a lot closer, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Get down. Do not climb on that chair. I understand it's 8 o'clock. I get it.
I forgot what's it.
8, 2 dots, something, something.
No, it was 7 5 8, but there's a 9 in there now.
Right, 7,
There's a
2
6.
dots, 5, 9 means it's 1 minute to 8 o'clock, okay? Because the number on the left of the 2 dots is a number, and the 2 numbers on the right is also a number. So now you get off that chair and stop standing on that chair. Hey, how many consequences do you think you've racked up?
5.
No, only 3. But let's not rack up any more, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
What does rack up mean?
That means add up. That means every time you get another consequence, you've racked up another consequence. You've added it to your list. Okay? Okay? Because remember, the more consequences you have before Daddy wakes up, the bigger the consequence is going to be.
Yeah.
So we're either going to put some toys on top of the refrigerator, or they might end up in the trash can.
If I be really big bad, I
Yeah.
have to get a biggest consequence.
That's right. Absolutely. Okay, thank you. Now be quiet until I finish this. It won't be long, I promise. I promise. So sorry for that moment of parenting. I feel oddly rested. I've been dog sitting for my ex the last few days. We've had some issues with that scenario, and he came and got the dogs late last night. Thank you. So I got a good night's sleep. So I had a moment of I think that was point on parenting. That doesn't always happen because I tend to be the sleep deprived parent. So I appreciate you giving me a pause to do that, and that you understand I don't know how to edit my podcasts. I haven't had the space in this last year to figure that out, okay? Now, go back to Patreon. You can join for free, and you can follow people on Patreon for free, and you can see their blog stuff, and you can get certain content. There'll be a lot of free additional content on Patreon, hopefully, that I'll figure out here in the coming months, like video chats, how to pass out downloads, digital downloads, for pattern suggestions. I'm coming up with some patterns on things you can do with the yarn tubes outside of just socks. Kitty and her gotta make a scarf. There's also ways to make toys. I've made toys out of them. So we're gonna figure that out, and we're gonna get that. That's the goal for this upcoming podcast year. Okay? I don't know how many goals we're actually gonna meet, but that's the goal. So now oh my God, I made a thing. So my goal this year was 1 sock per month from a tube, and I'm actually 7 for 7, although I've been running a little short, and then making 4 sweaters. This is my sweater 2019. So my goal was to make 4 sweaters and become a garment knitter, because that's really one of the things I've always wanted. I've crocheted some sweaters, but you don't get the same kind of fabric, and I've always wanted that stockinette fabric. That's the bonus of living in Arizona, is I don't have to purchase lighting because we have so much of it naturally. But I just have to get things set up correctly. I might wash out, but hopefully you can see the color a little bit better. I have not blocked this, not at all, not at all. What I did was I started bottom up, This is a 2x2 ribbing. I was following a pattern, but then the slog of the stockinette was driving me batty. So I stopped following a pattern. I have as you know, I like to put a lot of my books and things into gifts because I don't read most of the pattern books. I have a real challenge following patterns because at certain times of the day when I get to knit, like last night between, 8 and 10:30, my eyes are shot. I can't read, even with my 7x magnification readers. Yours might be 2 or 3, mine are 7. But I have this and Bud top-down sweaters, and in the book is a lot of the, if you're this size, if you have that gauge, this is where you're at, okay? I also got this One Piece Knits book. Oh my God, I love this one. I love this one. And it's also very similar with the charts. And that one is by Margaret Hubert. What I have found in doing the sweaters, like everything else, you have an idea going in on what you're going to do. Going into knitting, I didn't think I'd like circular needles, but I do. Kitty didn't think she'd like circular needles, but she does. They're lighter weight, When it came to sweaters, I thought I was going to be a total top-down, in the round, minimal seaming, that's it, sweater person. What I have found is I like knitting flat because I'm a backwards knitter. I don't purl, I backwards knit. And that's really easy when it's flat, and it motivates me to get going on the stockinette. Blah. I actually find that transition from one row one way and one row the other way, it motivates me a little bit more than the stockinette in the round. So what I did was, when I ditched the pattern I was following, I started to figure out the math. And one of the other things that I wanted to try this year was mosaic knitting. I can't wait to see what this looks like when I actually block it out. So I did a little mosaic knitting here to get those little heart-shaped blips. It's very hard to tell, I'm sorry. It's very hard to tell. There, ooh, maybe better. And then I did a couple of transition rows, and I added in, I had this one skein of Yowza that I just loved. And in the last week, I went from about here to finishing the darn thing. So I added in the Yowza, split for the sleeves, did the front, did the back, did one shoulder cap here, or saddle, and one here. Then I went in and I did the 2x2 ribbing. I really like 2x2. I like 4x4. For whatever reason, 1x1 is not my thing. I haven't tried twisted ribbing. I don't think I'll like that. And then, because of the way it was laying on me, I thought I needed to do some rows before I put in my ribbing for my sleeve. Well, I did. But what happened was, there was enough weight when I attached something here that realistically I should have just ribbed immediately. I might seam it back, but that's going to be a little bulky, or I might just rip it out and redo it, because I want it to be the way I want it, so I wear it more. Because this is a really funky, personalized color scheme and style, but I'm going to try to steam block it, and see what that does. Because I also noticed in picking up for these sleeves that one side came out far better than the other. This side seems a lot bulkier I don't think I picked up quite the same row or for whatever reason. And yes, there's eight stitches difference in one sleeve from the other. I don't know how that happened. And I don't care right now because it's done, because I didn't do any shaping. No shaping. No weird stuff about doing so far in the flat and then casting on some extra stitches. No short rows, no dart type stitches, nothing. There is zero shaping in this. Shaping, like, I don't know why, but it kind of scares me. I'm not great at my short rows. I don't like the little feel that I get to the short rows because I can feel them. So I assume you can see them more. I also like a bigger neckline, something a little bit more like a boat neck. I mean, this is Tucson after all. When the heck am I going to wear this anyway? Because it's going to be warm. It's merino. It's going to be warm. But this is also why you will rarely ever see me make a sweater that isn't short sleeved. Because I live in Tucson. So that's it. That's the deal. I love it. I redid the grafting here. It looks better. The grafting on the other side worked. At some point, I will probably pick a front based on the pooling. And then what I'll do is I will sew in one of my little braille stitch markers into the back, or I will sew in a very small button, because one thing that happens frequently to me is I lose track of where the front and back is. I love that a lot of things don't have a tag anymore, but as we all know, a lot of that writing kind of wears out in the wash. So I end up putting big colorful X's in Sharpie markers inside my stuff, or my underwear's going on backwards. So I'll figure out some way to mark it, because I'm thinking that one side of the pooling versus the other is gonna like draw me out more. But yeah, I love it. It's just amazing. I can't believe it. I did it. It's a wonder. It's a wonder and a love. And so I love garment knitting. And I realized that my modifications to patterns are not always size driven. So that's something that I'll talk about in future episodes. And it's like the tips and tricks section. So I started based on my One Piece Knits book. I started another sweater yesterday, and it took me quite a while, like 4 tries. Grandma gave me a hard time, Grandma Kitty, because I was ripping out because I couldn't get the right fabric. This yarn is feels like butter from Lion Brand, and it does. It feels lovely. I don't think it's going to be overly warm. But its drape is very weird, and I just couldn't get what I wanted. It was very hard to do this ribbing. It seemed far tighter than what it looks now, although there's not much actual stretch. This is more like a visual ribbing, because this is 100% polyester. I have no idea what that means for construction and wear. Like, I didn't know that I could just attach the ribbing and that would be enough weight to help pull out and pull down that sleeve and get the neck where I wanted and the sleeve to look right. I didn't think it would look right because the way it sat on me without this was right here. I didn't think that that extra weight would pull it down enough, but it did. So yes, I will probably redo it because I really do want to wear it. It's funky and I want to wear it. And and I can feel that I have hair here. So anyway, my goal is to not be buying stuff for my stash, only indie dyed yarns for sock tubes for prizes, and that's with contributions. So I'm trying to work through my stash because I think that I will have much more creativity and motivation if the clutter of my space is less. And I'm trying to get my finances in better order this year. I'm trying to do less online shopping, which is really tough because that's like my only option. But I realize I buy a fair amount of stuff we don't need. So anyway, so here is my feels like butter polyester one-piece knit. Once again, I'm using the math calculations and trying to figure it out. This is going to be a split hem. It's going to be larger, more like tunic-y. It's going to be short sleeve because it is larger. I think the sleeves are going to hang down further. I am simply going to do the ribbing off the sleeve once I figure that out. The one interesting thing I'm planning on right now is that at some point when I get to the right level here, I am going to insert a pocket, like an interior pocket, not a patch pocket on the outside. I'm going to put an interior pocket in this. And then I can't figure out if I'm going to put some of this into the sweater because I like that kind of color burst. It's like a faux yoke. It's kind of like faux color work because I haven't gone there yet. I mean, it was hard enough to do that little bit of mosaic. So I can't decide if I'm going to do it, if I'm going to add it into the big part or just do it in that pop of pocket. Because as much as I give my mom a hard time, I do like color. I really love color, but in small doses. So that's my plan. I will take you along for the ride. And one of my tips and tricks is these are chow goose. Because you know, in a lot of patterns with ribbing, you use 2 different sizes. What are these again? Are these the Knit Picks ones? You know, it's that interchangeable set with the, okay. My thing is I will probably weed out a lot of my extra needles just because it's overwhelming to me. One thing that happens as you become visually impaired is it takes time to process, what am I looking at? What was the yellow again? What was the yellow and purple again? Is this the 4.5 or is this the 4.5? Because it's hard to figure out. I know, but you can't go swimming quite yet. In a little while. Give me like 10, 20 minutes more. So I pick 2 different styles of interchangeable needles so I know, oh, this is my ribbing, this is my body. I do a lot of things in that way. Number one, they feel different. They look different. So it just, I won't ever accidentally use the wrong one because they're both chow goose, they're both silver and red. They both feel about the same because there's not much difference when you do ribbing and body. So anyway, that's my little tip and trick. And I did a thing. I will put some pictures out on Patreon and on Instagram after it's blocked. I will possibly put some pictures out if I go ahead and redo the sleeves. And thank you for the commentary. Thank you for all the support. I am still here. Grandma is still going to be here with me. We're just going to tone it down. Doing it weekly is a challenge. So, and it's also hard because we both feel rushed when we do it together. So we don't feel like we say all the stuff we want to say. So we'll see how that works, but thank you. Thank you for being in the closet. Let's shine some light on housebound people, whether it's out of choice or necessity, And let's always look with your heart first. Have a great week. Have a great few weeks. I will see you around. Follow me on Patreon. Follow me on Instagram. Talk to you soon.